have Ronaldo. Welcome, Ronaldo.
Hi, Ronaldo. I know him too.
All right, that's cool. Ronaldo, do you miss Alexa? Do you miss her? You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Hello. It's okay?
Hi.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ari and Alexia.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Ronaldo.
It's a long time, Alexa.
I know. 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
Ronaldo, I was telling Alexa how she's loved by all the people that she met in Apucarana, because she's so nice, right?
Christ. Yeah. Good teacher,
Yeah,
good
Everyone in the
people.
I've been told that she's a great person and everybody loves her. And I would like to be friends with her too, because since she's such a good
Yes,
person.
please. I
Yeah.
will come to Campo Mourão.
Yes. Oh, Natalia said that you helped her with her TCC.
Yes. Anzines.
That's nice. All right. So the first question I would like to ask Alexa is, how was her experience? So for you, Alexa, how was your experience here in Brazil when you got here? How was it for you?
Oh, I love Brazil. My experience was really excellent. I mean, my first impression was Juliani coming to pick us up at the airport and just really excited to show us around. And I remember she bought some Brazilian food, and we had my first churrasco
Oh my God.
and my first feijoada. So from the first day, I just felt so like welcomed, and everyone was so kind. It was definitely, I definitely had a sense of a bit of embarrassment because I didn't speak Portuguese very well at the beginning, but I had no choice but to try. And so that was definitely something I had to work on, of being okay, like feeling okay about making mistakes when I'm talking to people, and overcoming that feeling of me knowing what I'm talking about but not being able to express it was frustrating. But people were just so understanding and patient, and would teach me slang and explain, like, help me to learn how to say things. That was just, I overcame that fear. And I just, all of my friends now laugh at me that all I talk about is Brazil.
That's so cool. That's really great, Alexa. And guys, I would like to call your attention because Alexa said that when she came here, speaking Portuguese for her was difficult, right, Alexa? You were insecure
Oh, yeah.
about yourself, but you tried. And
Mm-hmm.
because you tried, that nowadays you speak so well. You speak Portuguese so well, and some minutes later, I would like you to ask you to speak a little Portuguese for us. So then they can see, your
Sure.
Portuguese. Yeah, because then they can see how you learned so well our language. And I truly believe that it's more difficult for an English speaker to speak Portuguese than for us Portuguese speakers to speak English. So you're a winner.
Portuguese is hard.
Portuguese is very hard, right? I
Oh,
had
yeah.
a friend. He came from Washington D.C. and yeah, you. And then
Neighbors.
yes, and then he came here because he wanted to get married with a Brazilian woman. Yeah, he was engaged
Aw.
to her. Yeah, because of love, he came to Brazil, and then he taught in a school where I taught too. And I remember he always said, in Portuguese, in English, we have just three tenses, like, present, simple past, and then past participle. And in Portuguese, we have a variety of so many verbs, so many tenses, and how to work with them is so hard.
Oh yeah. I remember I used to give options that I would say, I don't really know which tense, so CO4, 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 like, would give options, because it's one of those.
Yeah, and then you say, and then you let them choose what tense is that.
Which one is right.
Yeah. But that's very cool. I'm going to speak a little Portuguese with them. Bom, pessoal, então a Alexa acabou de falar pra gente que ela, quando ela chegou no Brasil, era muito difícil para ela falar português. Ela também não tinha a fluência que ela tem hoje em português, mas mesmo assim ela tentou muito mesmo, não sabendo falar tudo de início, e aí depois ela ficou muito boa, vocês vão ver como que ela fala português bem, depois da hora que ela fala um pouquinho com vocês. E então, pessoal, não desistam. Esse é o conselho, né, Alexa? Don't give up.
Exactly. Don't give up.
E como eu estava falando para ela, é muito mais difícil um nativo, né, que fala inglês, aprender o português para nós aprendermos inglês, porque o português é muito mais difícil que o inglês, ele tem muito mais tempos verbais, né, todas aquelas coisas que a gente aprendeu lá nas aulas de português. Então, é muito difícil para eles aprenderem, mas we can't give up. So, Alex, I have another question for you. I've been told that you visited another countries too, like France, and I would like you to tell me your experiences in these countries now, individually.
Yeah. So I was telling Mari before that I studied anthropology, so I really like seeing how different languages shape people and how different cultures and food, especially, I love food.
Me too.
And so I think when I lived in France, I really tried learning a lot about the culture and the language and the food. And it was definitely a different experience from Brazil, just the way that people thought about who I was and just the way that I would make friends. Because my time in France, I was with other international students. And so we would a lot of times stick closer together, and I had opportunities to just like really hang out with more people from the US. So I think that sort of changed a little bit of my perception. But then at the same time, I lived with this 86-year-old French grandma, and she really she's my hero in life, and I really learned a lot about France from her. And I think that there's a sort of stereotype that French people are cold and mean. And to an extent, I mean, I think you have to sort of get to know someone before they'll be open. But I think Madame Ericeau, my host mom, really changed that perception for me immediately, that she was just so welcoming and would make amazing food. And so it was definitely a different experience. And actually, I had a lot of Brazilian friends when I lived in France, and they taught me the word pão. That was the first word I learned in Portuguese.
That's such a Brazilian thing.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was in France. I also, when I moved to France, I spoke better French than I spoke Portuguese when I moved to Brazil. But I was still very embarrassed. And I think that's where I really learned how to overcome. I remember my first month, I was nervous to go buy a sandwich or to like mail a postcard because I was worried I would make a mistake. And then realized that when I speak with people who don't speak English fluently back home, like I don't mind at all. And I think it's great that we're communicating. So that was really the first time that I had that lesson. So I also love France. It was just very interesting, especially because of Madame and because of the food and the wine.
Amazing.
And then, yeah.
You know, is the food really amazing as we think it is?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Madame Ericeau was like the best cook ever. And we would make recipes together because she wouldn't give me the recipe until we cooked together.
Okay. All right. And how was your experience in another countries you visited?
Yeah, I think I definitely have a special relation to Ukraine. So I spent a summer there because my family is from there. And so
Mm-hmm.
after World War II, they were refugees to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up speaking Ukrainian, and I always had this perception of, oh, I'm Ukrainian and American. And then I went to Ukraine and was like, oh, I am from the US. I'm not like, I am
Definitely.
very different. So I think that was a interesting experience of just me personally figuring out more of my identity. But it was definitely, it's very cold there
Uh-huh.
in the winter. Um, People are also just, I think it's similar to France that you have to get to know people and then they're very friendly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's also different because I speak Ukrainian. But then traveling in places that I don't really speak the language, like for work, I have to go to Serbia before the pandemic, of course. And that was definitely more challenging because I just couldn't communicate as well. And I would kind of speak this mix of English and Ukrainian to be sort of understood. And I
Get
think
it.
that's a different, it's weird. It's interesting to be in a place where you just don't know what's going on around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And did you find the culture very different from the US, the Ukrainian culture?
Definitely. And I think even different from, because I grew up in a very Ukrainian American way, and
Mm-hmm.
the culture in Ukraine was even different than the culture that I grew up with being Ukrainian. So that
Mm-hmm.
was, I think that in all of these places, in Brazil and France and in Ukraine, people are very, like, I really like having dinner parties. See, I love food. I really like having dinner parties. And I feel like that comes from more of my Ukrainian side. And that's like a bit of a difference between US culture to when I was growing up. I think that's changing now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that was something that I would like go to people's homes often when I would travel and like really get to know people that way. Um, yeah.
And I would like to ask you to create a sentence for us in Ukrainian so we can see how difficult it is. And then after you tell it, you translate for me because I wouldn't have a clue what it was.
Sure. То сьогодні ввечері я з вами говорю тут по інтернеті, і мені дуже приємно вас бачити і з вами говорити.
Oh my
So,
God. When you say English is difficult, guys. See what she just said. I couldn't understand. It was like she was blah, 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 blah. You know? I think
I'm
it's
very glad that my parents taught me when I was a child before I learned them at the same time, so I didn't have to learn Ukrainian, which was nice.
yeah. And I think it's even more difficult than German.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, the speaking is so difficult to pronounce. And so could you please translate it for us?
Sure. So I said this evening, I'm talking with all of you through the internet, and I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, that's very cool. It seemed for a little that you were saying bad words to us.
Well, those are the most important words to learn in any language.
Yeah, they are. You know, when I never went to the USA, I would really like to go there someday. And I would really like to, you know, get in some group and ask them, what are all the bad words, you know, because I want to know.
Well, come visit, and I'll let you know.
Yeah. All right. So, I would like to ask you, since you told me people in France and people in Ukraine, they are kind of closed, and then you have to get a bond with them to make them open more. And what are the differences between people in these countries and people in Brazil?
Sure. I mean, I think in Brazil, people were very open immediately, and that very much made my first month and my whole time there just very wonderful and kind. And that's not to say that people in France and Ukraine aren't kind, just like is that extra of getting to know someone more. And I think I also just, if you can't tell, I really like to talk and smile.
Yeah,
And so
I'm just like you.
yep,
I love to smile and talk.
yeah. And so I felt like I fit in more in Brazil of just being smiley and talking, versus one of my friends in Ukraine. I remember I said some joke once and she was like, "That was a funny joke, Alexa,"
And she
and
didn't
didn't
laugh.
laugh.
She didn't demonstrate any expression.
And then it made me laugh even more.
Yeah. Yeah, they are so close. I remember it's not related to this country you mentioned, but I compared one show of Guns N' Roses in Brazil in 1992, I think, in Rock and Rio, and people were like, crazy, so crazy. And I watched a tour of them in Japan, and the guys were just so quiet. They were so quiet. And I was like, oh my God, in a rock and roll show where you should shout and move and scream and jump, and people were like very quiet. And I couldn't,
It's so
deal with that.
And I think my region where I'm from in the US is called the Midwest.
Mhm.
And it's definitely known for being more, there's an expression, Midwest nice. So just being friendly and open. And so now here in Washington, D.C., I miss talking to people at the grocery store or just like saying hello to people walking down the street. So that was also something I think here I have to be more like my France self. And back in Cleveland, I'm like my Brazil self.
So there is this expression, Midwest nice.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this one. So when you're very smiling and friendly, you can tell you're Midwest nice.
Yes,
I'm gonna use
exactly.
that.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm going to use that.
Yes, I love the Midwest.
That's cool. And what kind of songs do you hear there?
Song.
Yeah, songs.
Ooh, well,
More pop
I like.
songs.
So I feel like now I don't have a car, so I don't really listen to the radio. So I don't know, and we can't go to any like bars or anything. So I haven't heard any of the new songs really. I'm very old. I'm an old soul.
Totally get it.
So I feel like I listen to a lot of music from like 10 years ago, and then I just listen to it still.
All right. So you still listen to music that are very old, and you don't
Yep.
catch up with new.
No, I'm not cool enough.
I totally get you because I am an old soul too. I am 20. I'm going to be 25 next week, but I feel like I'm 90.
That's how I feel. I'm also 25. I'm like,
Oh, that's
am
cool.
I?
That's
Happy
cool.
birthday.
Thanks. I'm going to be 25 on October 20th. I'm a Libra.
Nice.
As you
So
know.
a week from today.
Yeah, 1 week from today. And you, what sign are you? Because I'm very into astrology. I love making birth charts of everybody. Like my students, I ask them and I tell them, I want to know your sign. Even though you don't believe it, you're going to tell me because I do. And then I can get to know your personality.
I love it. I'm a Sagittarius.
I love Sagittarius people. I do get along with them.
Oh, no wonder this conversation is so fun.
Yeah. And then my ascendant is on Sagittarius. Do you know yours?
I don't.
I'm going to
I will look it up and I'll tell you.
I'm going to do it for you. That's awesome. Right, Alexa. So I have another question for you, and that's more related to your process of learning languages. So how did you feel when you started learning your first language? I want to know the first language you started learning besides English, because you were born speaking it. And how was this process for you?
Sure. So I started learning French when I was 13 because I learned Ukrainian and English from birth, I guess. So I don't really remember learning them. I did go to Ukrainian Saturday school to learn how to, because it's a different alphabet, so like reading and writing, but that was more like growing up like with English and Ukrainian. So I started French because most people in my school took Spanish, and I wanted to be in a small class, I guess. And I really liked it from the beginning. I remember the first time, this like in my brain of the first day of class, that my teacher just said like a couple, like probably 5 minutes of just like things in French. And I thought it was so cool that she could speak French. And of like trying to get us to like understand, and like we could almost sort of understand what she was saying, that she would like point at the calendar and like could sort of get a feel for it. So I think I was just really excited to be able to do that as well. So that's like my first distinct memory of starting French. And then I just really like music and food. And so I would learn all of these, I would listen to music, I would watch films, try to make recipes, and just like get more of that, what I call like the fun stuff about languages. I mean, I also love grammar. I'm one of those weird people who loves grammar.
Me too. Let's be weirdos together.
I know, this is great. So I would also like, I mean, I remember skipping ahead to like reading about castles and reading about bread, and then, but also being like, ooh, but like how, I like really wanted to know how to like say things and how to conjugate verbs.
You wanted to master the language. All right.
And I have a problem of when I learn languages. So when I get excited, I speak very quickly. So I'm trying, and I do that even in languages that I don't know very well. So it gets very difficult. That when I first started learning French, or when I moved to Brazil, I wanted to talk really fast, and I would just trip over a lot of my words.
Yeah, but I think that's totally normal. Like, we are we are in a rush every time.
Exactly. So. Yep, a lot to say.
Yeah, and how did you think of, for example, you said you learned French and you also learned Spanish. Do you think this process of learning the two languages, it was different for you?
Yeah, I think I remember one day in university, I would have a French class and then right after a Spanish class, and it was at times difficult. I think I have more problems now with Portuguese and Spanish, just because I think my French and my Portuguese I'm very confident in, and my Spanish I'm not. And so I think that's where I mix up a lot of words, and for work I have to speak Spanish, and everyone laughs at my accent and says that I sound like I'm speaking Portuguese, because I probably am.
Yeah, because you're more familiar with Portuguese, right?
Exactly.
For how long did you live here in Brazil?
Only 1 year.
1 year. And in a country that spoke Spanish, you never lived in?
I've never lived, no.
Okay. Yeah, so that's probably why you have this familiarity with Portuguese accent, because you lived here and that's easier for you. But they are similar, right? They are similar languages in speaking. I know that Spanish grammar is a lot difficult. I've been told that. I didn't study, but people say that it's very difficult. What do you think? Do you think Spanish grammar is very difficult?
I think that maybe because I heard more of it growing up, that it's similar to Portuguese grammar. I think, I don't know if they have a past, present, and future subjunctive, which is what confuses me in Portuguese the most. But yeah, I think they're like fairly similar, that it was helpful. My Spanish definitely helped me to learn Portuguese, which was good, but now I have a bit of trouble between the two.
All right. And, oh, somebody entered?
Oh.
Yeah, people are entering all the time.
Yeah.
So, oh, Ju. Hello, Ju.
Hi. Oh, yay.
Hey, hello. How are you? Nice to see you.
So nice to see
I'm
you
good.
too.
Sorry for being a little bit late, but I was doing my hair. It took longer than I expected.
No problem.
Yay. Oh, how many people here? Yes,
Yeah.
awesome.
Ju,
Move on, Mari.
I was asking Alexa about her experiences in Brazil and also in other
Mhm.
countries that she visited. And I was also asking her what was the process for her to learn so many languages because she's a polyglot. And now I would
Mhm.
like you to give some hints for the students, Alexa.
Sure.
Hints that you think will help them learn English better.
Yes. I mean, I think one is definitely what Mari and I had talked about at the beginning of just not being afraid to make mistakes because they happen, but you can still be understood. And sometimes they're funny. I said embarrassing and weird things. And I didn't mean to. I told my friend I wanted to tell her, that or like her hair was really straight. So I was like, Bruna, o seu cabelo tá lixo hoje.
Oh my God.
So mistakes happen. So,
Yeah. But did she understand what you meant?
oh yeah, I mean, everyone laughed at me, and then I was like, "Ooh, I definitely said something wrong," and they were like, "Lizu." Yes.
Yeah, that totally happens.
Yep.
I remember I was reading an ebook when I was first learning English like 10 years ago. I was very curious about the language, as you said about French. When you first started speaking about French, I felt in your shoes because I loved English culture, like more American culture, because there are very so many influences of American here in Brazil. So I loved the songs and the movies and everything about American culture. So I usually read many things about it, and I read an ebook about mistakes you can commit in English. And one of the examples were that one guy went to the United States and it was very cold, and he wanted to say that tava frio pra caramba. And then he said, "Oh my God, it's fucking cold." And then he said it among so many, people that he didn't know. And they were
Oh
like,
no.
"You should have said freaking or something like that, but never fucking cold." But for him, it wasn't so strong. He didn't have
Yep.
the sense of how strong it was.
I think that's something that comes with learning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I definitely had embarrassing things like that happen to me as well.
Yeah, sometimes, but I think they are good because then we laugh, like you said. There are funny stories
Mhm.
to tell, and then you can explain the person if they don't understand you. You can try and explain. So I think you learn so much more, and you really try than when you're embarrassed
Exactly.
and you don't want to talk at all. Because I have some students that they are very shy, because they are afraid, and they tell me, "Oh no, I don't know how to speak English. I think everybody's going to laugh at me." And then I say, "No, but you have to try. You have to try. Here we are learning. It's a course."
Yes.
And I think when we are doing this course, we create confidence to go to an English speaking country and to talk more naturally. But when we don't
Exactly.
try here and then we go to an English speaking country, then I think we would, freeze, can't speak anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh
And
my
that's
God.
normal. It's scary. I
Yeah.
totally understand. And it's
Mhm.
like getting through that block of like,
Yeah.
people can understand me and I like want to talk to me. I think that's the confidence is key. And I will never forget the words lixo or liso. Like,
Yeah, that's it. Like the guy who would never change
yeah,
for fucking anymore.
exactly.
Yeah, that's it. So now, Alexa, I would like to open for questions. So guys, please, if you have questions for Alexa, please write in the chat or open your microphones and ask her. I bet she would be pleased to answer them. Right, Alexa?
Of course.
And then if you don't know how to say it in English, you can say it in Portuguese, right? Because you also speak Portuguese, I said to you. So it's open.
Yeah, let's try not to use the chat. Let's try to speak at least in Portuguese and then try to translate English.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question, Ronaldo.
Okay, Ronaldo.
Okay, Juliane. Okay, Mari. Okay, Alexa.
Yes.
Okay, guys, everyone here. Okay, I have a question. For example, you learn Portuguese when you come to Brazil. You have a big experience here. I believe that. Okay, my question is, what is the most beautiful word you learn in Portuguese? How bad word you learn in Portuguese? You can say for us?
Oh my God.
Most beautiful and then bad. Well, I think that's a great question because words are wonderful. I think most beautiful word is probably an easy one of saudades is such a great word.
Oh.
Because it doesn't really
Everybody
exist.
says.
Yeah, everyone says, so I'm being boring. Maybe a different, more beautiful word that I love. I guess it's a series of words because I love pão de queijo, as everyone who knows me knows. That's all I talk about.
I know, Alexa, you love pão de queijo.
I do. Oh, they're so good. Or maybe
Yeah.
molho. I love molho. I love the word and the food. And then bad words.
Do you like brigadeiro?
Oh, so much.
Yeah.
I loved everything.
And the funny thing Alexa said, that saudade is a word we only have in Portuguese, right, Alexa?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
it's such a nice word.
Yeah.
And because in English, for me, it's really different to simulate and saudade and I miss you. It's really strange. For me, for example, it's difficult to find one word. It's combining and miss you, saudades. It's really strange for me, for example. I believe that for other people as well.
Definitely. And it was something I feel like I had to learn the other way around.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love your English.
It's a pleasure.
So good.
I'm so happy for talk with you again.
Me too. I miss our
Thank you.
conversation clubs.
Yeah. So long time. Good opportunity for me. Oh. Yeah. As well.
Yeah.
Next question.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi. Do you
Hi.
like music? And why Brazilians music do you like more? Love more?
Ooh, that's a great. I love Brazilian music. I have a playlist on my Spotify called Música do Brasil. I like all kinds. I mean, I like some sertanejo. I like samba. I like funky. Actually, I saw Seu Jorge. He was touring in the US right before this started. So I have a friend here from Rio, and we went together to see Seu Jorge, which was awesome. And I think
he's very good, isn't it? Isn't he?
So good. And I think music really helps with learning, and I still listen to a lot of this music, and maybe I'm developing more of a Carioca accent because I hear a lot of Carioca music.
Love it. Okay. Adriana, would you like to ask any other question?
No.
No?
No.
Or Adriana, do you like any music from the US or English music?
I think you've got a friend.
Oh, that's such a lovely song.
I'm a singer.
Oh, cool. And you sing in English too? You're doing great.
And Adriana is also a teacher, right, Adriana? She teaches music.
Yes, yes.
Oh, cool.
25 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love music.
That's very cool.
Live music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for
Um,
putting you on the spot, but thank you for answering my question.
Okay, guys, any other questions? Come here. You have this great opportunity to talk to Alexa. Besides, she's being so nice to us. She's a native speaker of English, so it's a great opportunity for you guys. Fernando, do you have a question?
I think, yeah, Fernando's trying to say something, but we can't hear you.
Yes, I have the question. Uh, you study biology,
Biology.
right?
No, did I study?
Yeah, I think
So I
he
studied.
He studied
Mhm.
biology.
So I took a biology class in high school, and I did not do well. I am not a science person. Yeah. I think that was probably my best science class because it had some language elements of studying of different Latin words. So that helped. But once I didn't, in the US in college, you have to take, besides what you're studying, you have to take science and math and philosophy and all of these things. And so once I didn't need to take any more science, I stopped.
But as a college, you took anthropology, right, Alexa?
Yes, yes. So more about people.
Yeah, people. She knows a lot about people, guys. Ask her questions about people. She knows the answer. Oh my God.
Oh man.
You know, you and me, we could make a very good double because I understand about astrology and you understand about anthropology. So we could make a mix,
Perfect.
you know?
Oh, and then we'll just figure out the meaning of life.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm also graduated in philosophy, Alexa. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Mari, can I ask you a question?
Of course. So we're going to keep asking questions about humans and the fact of being.
Yeah. So where did you learn English? You studied philosophy.
Yeah, you know, I first started learning English when I was 15 by myself. I loved to listen to music, as I said to you, and I did a process that I give this advice to my students because I listened to music to the same song for 3 times. In the first time, I listened and then I saw the lyrics in English. And the second time, I listened and I looked for the translation. And in the third time, I listened and sang together. So it helped me, you know, but it was a pleasure for me to do that. I didn't feel like, oh, it's so boring to study English, to listen to these songs so many times. No, I loved it, you know, because I wanted to sound a native, like a native. So
I love that.
yeah, and my parents, they had I don't know if you know, but those CDs that has a lot of musics in it, a lot of songs, like 100 and something, like a pen drive. And then they had this CD with so many old songs like Roxette and Madonna and these things. And I loved to listen and I would like to sing too. And then I learned how because I would like to sing these songs. And then I went to a course, to an English course for 2 years. But then I, learned by myself the rest of it. And I started teaching when I was 17. So I think I got the use of it with the time.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Your English is incredible. Wow.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. And I went to philosophy because I started letras. That's very funny, my story. I'm telling my story. The protagonist is Alexa, but I'm telling her, but just a little bit. Because I went to letras, but I was 17, so I was stupid, and then I stopped it. I don't know why, because I was stupid. And then I said to myself, now I want to do administration. It's so different. Opposite. Letras to administration. All right, let's do it. And then I went to administration, and the only subject I liked was philosophy. And then my teacher said, no, go do philosophy because you're very good and I think you're going to make a great philosopher. And then I went and did the course, but at the end of the day, I'm an English teacher and I'm always going to be, I think, because I love it. And I never stopped teaching since I was 17. So I don't know.
Oh, that's so great. Oh, I love your story. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for listening to me. All right, guys.
Do you a singer?
I really like to sing, Adriana. I'm not a singer because my voice is not so good to sing, But I try. All right, guys. So does anyone have another question for Alexa?
Mari, I'm
Good
putting
evening.
the chat.
Hi, good evening.
Oops, sorry, you go.
Hello, Alexa. I'd like to know about the importance to do the TOEFL test to study abroad, and also I'd like to know if you can speak a little bit some tips for who wants to study abroad.
Sure. That's a great question. So I think for the TOEFL, I think most, if not all, programs in the US for studying would require the exam and probably like a certain score. But I'm sure that they have like practice sites online, and you can always reach out to me, and Juliani can give any contact info if you need specific help with like certain aspects of the test, because tests are annoying and challenging and can be difficult even if you know what you're doing and you speak really good English. Taking tests can be hard. So it's just a lot of practice. I think for finding programs abroad, there's definitely, I think a lot of, at least what I wrote for my Fulbright application, for example, and for other programs, is really talking about like being flexible and open to these new experiences, and just like really wanting to, I think, like promote this of wanting to learn about others and then wanting to teach about yourself. I think that is something that's really important to write about. And I think that I did Fulbright in Brazil, and that's an option for Brazilians to come to the US. And I think that that's a really great program. I know one of the professors when I was at Unespar, he did that program, and we talk about it all the time. We share our Fulbright stories. And I know Juliani did a program in Texas, so I'm sure she can also talk more about doing that sort of exchange. But it's really just like, I'm more than happy to help with like reading applications or just like practicing some English things, because I think that these applications also, I've been talking about confidence all evening, but I think it's like really just promoting yourself and being confident that you really deserve that position, because you do. I don't know how hopefully that was helpful.
Yes, thanks.
Hudson, and also Alex.
Oh, you're muted, Mari.
Oh, I'm sorry. So for Hudson and Alexa, that guy I was speaking about, that friend I had that worked with me, he was an American. And I remember we did not the TOEFL one, but the TOEIC one. And he didn't do it because we had to pay, of course, and he didn't need it. But I remember everybody did, how can I say? Como se fosse simulado, sabe? Everybody did it in our school. And then he took it too. And he said the speaking part was so fast that some words even he couldn't understand. And he was a native speaker. So that's a very difficult test. We have to prepare very well for it.
Yeah, I took the French equivalent when I was living there, and it was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
it's
hard. And the part of the interpretation too, right?
Mhm. And then you have the time, so you have a certain period of time to answer the question. Then you don't have enough time to think, so it makes more difficult in this kind of.
And the anxiety, right? Because
Yes.
then you get pressurized.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Guys, there is, speaking of scholarships and opportunities to study abroad, there is a website that I used to research things, and I also signed their newsletter. So I receive emails from them telling the opportunities of scholarships around the world. So there are scholarships in Europe, in the US, in many countries, and for many levels. For example, undergraduates, master courses, PhDs. So if you want to check it out, I will put here in the forum, okay, in the chat, sorry. It's called scholarships.com. So I signed their newsletter, and I think it was awesome. I received in my email the opportunities and also the requirements. So what you need to apply for that scholarship, if you need, for example, translated documents and things like that, okay? So there is this website. And also I put a Google form. I don't know if Mari had put before.
No, I forgot.
Yeah, no problem. If you want a certificate of these meetings and the other ones that we are doing, the English clubs, you can access this document, and then you put the date, your information and the date, and then at the end of the year, or probably in the beginning of next year, we are going to give you a certificate if you participated in at least half of the meetings, okay? So it doesn't matter if it's Mari's or Alexandre's or Samuel's. If you're interested in any of our topics and you want a certificate, you can just answer this form.
Yeah, please, guys, don't forget to fill up this form, okay? Fill out this form. Because then if you participate, like Julian said, in half of the meetings, you can get a certificate. I believe, like Julian said, only next year, right, Ju? Because we are in the end of the year, and it takes a time.
Yeah, and we have only one secretary, so it's her that does everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's it.
The next is, what do you mean, Hudson?
I think in the scholarship.com.
Or
Is
to
it?
request access to the Google form.
I just send access to me on this link.
The Google form or the scholarship?
The Google form.
The Google form.
Let me check. Just a second.
All right. Okay. So any other questions, guys? Please feel free to ask Alexa.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So I'm Patricia. I'm learning English with Marinella. So Marinella is my best friend too, and my teacher. So because of her, I'm here.
Yay!
And Alexa, I'm learning English, and sometimes there are many words that I can't pronounce correctly, because for me it's so hard. Some sounds I listen, I understand, but I can't speak at the same way. So for you, when you are learning Portuguese language, and today, what is and what else? the hardest sound or the hardest word for you?
That's an excellent question, because there are definitely sounds that exist in Portuguese that don't in English. And I think the first one that comes to mind is And so my friend, when I remember we were walking around one night and she had me plug my nose like this whenever I would have to say like "Bo," and she was like, assim se fala. So that one was hard. And I think the other just like an like, and sometimes the R's depending, like at the beginning of a word. Like my favorite word is uma. I find that very fun to say. And those are definitely, I think, the hardest ones for me.
Yeah, I would like to make a comment on Patricia's comment and also on yours, Alexa, because you told us that the R sound is difficult for us, like in H, for example.
Uh-huh.
For us, it's so difficult to say rural area, right? You know, it's
Yeah.
so difficult to pronounce these R retroflexo, right? Like or, and sometimes I watched another video that Brazilians were saying the names of bands in movies, and Americans were trying to understand what they meant. And one of them said, Red Hot Chili Peppers. And they were like,
Oh, yep.
hot? What's this?
Yep.
So that's very difficult for us to do these sounds. And also, Alexa, I would say the TH, right? And
Yeah.
I would like to ask for Alexa to tell us that we need to put our tongue between our teeth, right?
Yep. That's what I was about to say. And then
Because
for the soft one, you say an S? Yeah.
Because some students, Alexa, they are so shy to make this sound. They are like, but it's ugly. And I say, no, you should do that.
It's okay. It's a hard sound.
Yeah, it's a hard sound and we don't have it. But
Yeah.
we should do that, because otherwise we wouldn't sound like we wouldn't sound like the word is supposed to sound, right?
But it's hard. And there are some Irish accents, I know specifically, that they say like a d or a t. And I love Irish accents. So they
All right. Okay, does anybody have another question? No? Let's go, guys.
Alexandra, do you have a plans to teach Portuguese in US?
Ooh. That's a good question. There is, because I'm in Washington, D.C., so lots of people want to learn languages here. And there is a cool program that I've done that it's like volunteer teaching. And so I've been thinking of doing that. So I probably should. I think the semester won't start until the spring, but I think it could be fun. I think they do prefer native speakers, so I would be lower on the list of who they want to teach, but I think it would be really fun.
Nice.
I miss my conversation clubs in English.
Yeah. I would say you said that they prefer native speakers to be teachers of Portuguese, and it's like here in Brazil, they prefer native English speakers to be their teachers. But I think that's a myth, right, Alexa? Because
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, because even though you are not a native in Brazil or in another Portuguese country, you know more grammar than a person who was born here, right? Because you really
and just like you with English. Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you have that desire to teach, I think that, and your English is so great that I think that's a silly
requirement. Thank you so much. All right, guys, any other question for Alexa? No? All right, so I would like you to thank you so much. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you for accepting our invitation. It was great for us, and I think the students are very happy, very glad to have you here, answering their questions and speaking with us. So that's a pleasure to receive you. And I would like to invite you to another another club that we're going to have, right, Ju? In the future.
Yes, of course. Yeah, when I think about inviting someone, Alexa is the first person that appears in my mind.
Yes.
Because I know how kind she is and how accessible and available she is. So, how do you say in Portuguese? She's pau para toda obra, you know, like she's up to everything. She's up to everything, and she's amazing. I love this girl. She was the best, one of the best ETAs that we had. She worked hard, and I mean, all the ETAs are awesome. We were so lucky. But Alexa has this at Uninspire, I mean, because she's humble, you know, and that's a nice thing. And when we think about like internationalization and exchanging cultures, this is the nice thing, because you have to be open to really be in another person reality and culture. So this is the meaning of exchanging culture, right? Be accepted and accept the differences and talk and exchange things. And this is awesome. This experience is very, very nice. Thank you so much, Alexa. One more time. I have no words.
Oh, thank you so much. I was saying right at the beginning, Juliani, that I remember you brought us that bag of food and like different candies and lotion to just like, and from that moment, it's like, oh, this is, Juliani is so nice. We're so lucky to have her, and we're the luckiest ETAs in the whole program.
To show our country in the best way. So I put a lot of candies, good things like
and it worked.
And things like that. And if you don't like my country, we will like my food.
Was it you that introduced you to pão de queijo?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so.
And I had my first requeijão, first churrasco, first feijoada.
Delicious. And how did you like our feijoada?
Oh, so good. So good.
I love it.
I want to learn how to make it.
Yeah. So thank you again, Alexa. And thank you everybody
for participating. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you everybody.
Yeah, thank you for your questions. This was so much fun. I really enjoyed talking with you.
So yeah. So thank you. Thank you very much, guys. And thank you, Alexa, again for staying with us.
Thank you.
Bye
Have a great night.
Have a
Bye.
good night.
Next time.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, Alexa. Goodbye, Marina.
Bye, Ana. So good to see you again.
Thank you for our big opportunity. It's really good. We are meeting.
Thank you for
It's
participating.
perfect.
Thank you.
Bye. God
Ronaldo, your
bless
English
you.
is so amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
You too.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. So good to meet you, Mari.
Yeah, you too, Alex. I'm very pleased to meet you. And the thing I told you about birth chart is real, right?
Yes.
After. Fiz um sotaque muito forte aqui. After you pass me your contact, please, because I would like to talk to you and do your birth chart. And then
I can't wait to find out.
do you believe in it, or you think it's bullshit?
No, I feel like I've started believing in it more and more. The more I'm like, there's a lot of lot of coincidences. That
Yeah.
maybe there's something here.
You know, when I first when I didn't know the knowledge about it, I was not a believer. I was like, no, this is a lie. This doesn't exist. But then when I started studying about it, I was like, no, it makes sense. And then when I started making everybody's birth charts, I was like, no, it matches, you know.
I love it.
All right. Bye, Alexa. Thank you so much.
Bye, Mari. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.